Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back. Welcome to another edition of Let That Sink In. Well, I'm your host, Don P. And I just want to talk about when is enough enough? I just want to ask the question, are we ever content? When is enough enough? Does time dictate our success? Excuse me. The reason why I ask that is because when I look back in the day and the older generation, they lived off way less than what we live off today. As I look, a lot of people are really, really blessed and they take it for granted. They really don't understand how blessed they are because the older generations lived off way less than what we do today. You know, back in the day, the mother used to stay at home, be a stay-home wife. And I said stay-home wife, not girlfriend or anything like that. I said stay-home wife. And the man went out and he provided for the family. But today, we got a lot of people that take what they have for granted and they continue to want more. Now, I know back in the day, the GDP was a little different back in the day. It used to buy more. Our dollar used to stretch longer and further than it does today. Our dollar doesn't stretch as far as it did back in the day, right? But we're going to talk more about that in a minute because I have an opinion on that also. But a lot of people today are truly blessed, way beyond imagination, way beyond what you thought you would be at this point in your life when you were younger, right? And back in the day, we used to have, name brand, Gucci, Louis, Dior, etc. So it wasn't like, we just didn't have what we have today. We have all the things that we used to have back in the day, maybe not in abundance as we did back in the day, but as we do today back in the day, but we had it. So are we really living the same? Is it really parallel to back then, to how we used to live? Because we had homes, we had cars, we had clothes, we had jewelry, we had all those things. But today, I think what has hampered us is how much we glorify it now, how much marketing has been put into these items. And we glorify these things now, and they make us think that we have to have these things. And, we go out and we get 2 jobs. Now, I'm not saying anybody that has 2 jobs to make a living is anything wrong with that. But what I'm saying is when people are trying to keep up with the Joneses and they go out and get 2 jobs and they trading their time for money. And what they're trading for money is the most valuable asset that we have today. And it's time, because out of all the things that you go out there and you try to possess and you chase, you can always get those things, but you can never get time back. Once it's gone, it's gone. So I'm just wondering, and these are just questions, and I would like to have y'all to give your comments on what you think about is enough, right? Because like I said, we had big houses, we had Mercedes, Cadillacs, like I say, the other things back in the day. And today, more people are possessing luxury items and bigger homes and finer things in life than we did before. Right? So, like I said, is it linear? Is it are we just looking at it different? Is our perception just different on what's really how we're living today opposed to back in the day? So, like back in the day, 100K was like $1 million back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, like $1 million back in the 80s. But now people spend $100,000 like it's nothing. You got people riding around here in $100,000 cars. You got people out here that's living in $500,000 homes. And I'm talking about common everyday citizens, people that are in the middle class that are obtaining these type of things. So when we have those things, I ask the question again. When is enough enough? Now, this is what I want to say about that. Is we put more value into the things today than we did before. I think we praise these things now because I think we think that everybody is somebody when you achieve things and certain goals and obtain these, because at the end of the day, most of them are just status symbols anyway that put you in a certain class in your mind, put you in a certain class. You know, that's what classism is. You know, we want to be on a certain level in our lives. Now, when I say that, we always look at it as achieving makes us have success. And that is partly correct. And like I say, there's nothing wrong with having things, right? Long as it's done properly. Because trying to obtain more is a good thing and a bad thing. It could be a good thing or a bad thing. You know, it could be different sides of the coin. And when I say it's a good thing, is because if you able to buy it without struggling, if you without living without outside of your means, then I'm all for it. I'm all for progression. I'm all for Black success. I'm all for it. Long as it doesn't suck you in and take over you and make you do unethical things, illegal things to obtain things, right? Now, on the flip side of that coin, it's a bad thing when you struggling and stressing for things, because that's a bad thing, because stress is not good for you. It's not healthy. And when you struggle, it brings other problems in your life, and it brings problems for other people around you, particularly kids. A lot of kids get a lot of treatment that they don't deserve because the parents may be stressing trying to live a certain lifestyle or live a certain status, right? Trying to keep up with the Joneses, like I stated before, you know, trying to live outside of their means, trying to put on for people that really don't even care about you, that won't even think about you when you going to sleep, but you out here stressed out, you know, trying to figure out how you going to get things that don't really matter at the end of the day. But like I said, if you're able to obtain these things, kudos to you, hand claps. That's a good thing. because you put yourself in position. You did what you had to do. You sacrificed whatever you had to sacrifice to get to that position, right? So that in itself is good. But when you struggle and you stressed out and you doing 2 and 3 jobs, because we heard stories of, like parents, single parent moms that had to have 2 and 3 jobs to support their family. Not talking about those type of instances, because that's doing what you have to do to survive. I'm talking about when you're trying to live the glamorous life, and when you're trying to live a fabulous life, or Instagram life, right? That's what I'm speaking of. So when is enough enough? Now, when you strive, now, like I said, it's a flip side to that too, because wanting to have those things when you're doing it ethically and you're doing it properly and you're not breaking the law and you're not compromising your character and your integrity, or, you're not sacrificing God's favor on your life, then that's cool, because that gives you a reason to get up every morning and go out there and try to do things different than you did the day before, or I should say better than you did before the day before, so you can be a better person to get to where you want to be in life economically, right? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about economically. But ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Out of all that effort that you put into going to get the bag, going to chase that dollar, do you invest that much time and effort into yourself, as far as like health, or, just to invest in things to make you better as a person? Do you invest in, teaching your mind things that will elevate you spiritually, emotionally, physically, and those type of things? Because I know people, like I told people, something this like this before. I said, I see people riding around here in 60, 70, 80, $100,000 cars, but won't even buy vitamins that cost $15, or won't even buy healthy food, or, they won't even meditate and do things to like help their brain. But they want all these things, but they're dying on the inside, emotionally, spiritually. They don't feed their spirit. They feed all their spirit negative things. And they might not even know that they are negative because of how things are in society now, that a lot of things are camouflaged into making your mind think that just because everybody else is doing it, it's okay. But just because everybody else is doing it does not mean that it's okay, right? So in certain instances, do we have enough? And what I mean by that is, we are not content with what we have, the good things and the bad things that we possess. When do we just say that's enough, right? I take that back. I don't want to say that it should be enough, because there shouldn't ever be a cutoff point, because long as you're alive, you should always be striving to be better and to have more. Now, I know that may sound contradictory, but what I mean is, like I said before, long as it's not captivating your spirit, your soul, like it's not taking over your soul to have things, because once things have you, then it's not a good thing. You should have things, and things shouldn't have you. Things shouldn't consume your mind all the time. You shouldn't have just money, 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 money on your mind all the time, because too much of something is never good. It's always got to be a balance. You know, I always talk about balance. Y'all know I always talk about balance. You got to have that balance in your life. You got to have something, to balance out, always being in that grind mode, right? You got to have something to balance that out, right? But I just want to say, and I'm sorry to say this, but a lot of people have made money their God, and they chase money more than they chase God. They chase that money, and that's not a good thing. When you chase that money like that, that's not a good thing. I want to, while I'm on that, I want to read you something. I want to read you a quote that Bob Marley said about money, right? Let me bring this up. So here it is. I always try to drop you a jewel here and there throughout this program, and I thought this was very interesting when I read this. This is a quote from Bob Marley. It says, "Money is a number, and numbers never end. If it takes money to be happy, your search for happiness will never end." Let that sink in. So when you make money your God, you're going to always be chasing. You're always going to be chasing. You're going to be that little hamster on that hamster wheel, just running, because money never runs out. And as long as you keep chasing that money like that, you're going to be running yourself into a grave. And it's just like that commercial. I know y'all seen it before, where the little old man got the dollar on the end of the fishing rod, and he's hanging it over, and he's like, "Oh, try to get it." And the woman tries to get the dollar and say, "Oh, you almost got it." That's how it's always going to be in your life, because you're going to never be able to obtain enough money to satisfy your flesh. You will always be thinking about, how am I going to get the next dollar? And you got now, I'm not knocking anybody, because if they did enough to put themselves in position to obtain that type of money, like I said, kudos. And even if you still continue to strive to get money, because you're going to pass that money down to your kids. That's going to be your inheritance for your kids, your grandkids, right? But when you're not satisfied with where you at, then that's where the problem comes in, because now you lost touch with reality. You're not grounded anymore, and you're thinking that money will solve all problems. Now, I heard Money Mayweather say something that was interesting. He said, "Money don't make a person." And then he said, his comment was, person that says money's not everything. He said it probably was a broke person that made that statement, and they probably did. But a lot that broke person probably was in touch with reality also. And then a lot of times, a lot of people are not built to sustain or to have a lot of money, because, like the saying goes, more money, more problems. A lot of people can't deal with those problems it's going to bring you when you have a lot of money, because I know one of the problems that you're going to deal with is you're not going to know who loves you. You're not going to know who's a true friend to you, right? You're not going to know who's around you just for money, which probably majority of the people are there because of money. You just got to ask yourself, will these people be around if I didn't have money? Because those people are there when you're up, but when you fall and you're on your knuckles, a lot of them won't be around. Sad to say. And then you don't understand the other troubles that come with money. I remember there was a basketball player. He was from South America. I can't remember exactly where he was from, but his parents were still in South America. His name was Leonard Barbosa. And he was a millionaire because he played in the NBA. But his mom and dad still stayed in South America. And he was trying to get his parents to over here in the United States, because the people over there in South America, they're not as wealthy as Americans are. He said they were in danger because people would try to kidnap his parents and hold them for ransom because they know their son is a millionaire. So, I mean, those are just two examples of the things you might have to put up with. But there's tons of different things that you have to put up with when you have money. And certain people are not built to have that type of money. And that's why God hasn't really blessed you, because you haven't grown mentally and spiritually to be able to hold on to that type of money. So you have to do your due diligence with your spirit and make sure your heart is right before, God will bless you with that type of money. And if your heart isn't right, you're going to blow it anyway, because you don't really understand money. You don't know how money works. You don't understand that. I'm not saying that you can't learn, but how many times have you seen people win the lottery and lose it because they don't understand money? They just think it's all about spending money at that time. But at the same time, if money is going out and nothing is coming in, you know how that story ends. So those are just some of the things that you will encounter and you encounter certain things when you're just not with that kind of money, but you just the breadwinner in your family. You might be the one that just, have the most money. You're going to have people always coming to you to borrow money. You're going to have people that say you acting funny because you got money and you did what you had to do and you weren't out there just being wild and willy-nilly, and you were taking the time to educate yourself on whatever it is that you want to be that puts you in position to where you could obtain money. But then when you get there, then they want to be like, well, he owed me. And like people you grew up with might not even be family, it just be friends. They think that you owe them something just because y'all are friends or y'all are family. And those are just, and then, especially if you're a family person, when people, your family turn their back on you like that, that really hurts your heart, because you really thought that these people really loved you. But money, I seen people break up families in deaths because the money, that person might not had a will or whatever, and they fighting over money or property or things like that, and it just destroys. So these are the things that you have to go through when you're not grounded, and and money comes into the play, and you have to have some real people around you to continue to be loved and in a good place. Because like I said, that money, it breeds envy, and it breeds jealousy. It makes jealousy rears ugly head. Right. So you just, like I say, when is enough enough? Is it ever enough? Do you ever? I know your flesh will never it'll never be enough, because that greed is gonna kick in, and then you're just gonna want more and more and more. But if when you come from humble beginnings, you can kind of decipher between, okay, I'm doing pretty good. I can, kind of like rest a little bit, and not just be all out just money, 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 like I said right before. Because that money, some people, they'll kill, they'll steal for it, and that they'll just do unethical things and break the law to get it, because they made money their God. It's a bad thing, but that's just the way it is. And a lot of times, people, they adopt this mentality of me, 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 and they get selfish, and all they think about is themselves. But what a lot of people don't understand is the happiness. I'm gonna tell you what a true happiness is. The happiness is in giving. And I know they're going, that's probably going to ruffle people's feathers, but the blessing is in giving. And what I mean by that, and I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about just, for example, you have a kid, you have children, and you give them everything that they need to survive in this world. You try to teach them, give them a foundation, and you instill in them good values, good morals, how to be disciplined and all these things. And when you see them thrive in life, that's when you get that big smile on your face, and you say, yeah, that's my child. That's where the happiness is. And then it's always good to pour into other people's life, to give time, give money, give lessons, just giving. That's why, like, you look at your kid's face on Christmas, if you celebrate Christmas. I remember, back in the day when we used to celebrate Christmas, you just look at your kid's face during Christmas, and how joy they be so happy when they open those gifts. Right? And that's where the happiness comes from. It's in giving. And a lot of people, they don't like to give because, like I said, they have the selfish mentality. It's about me, 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 me. What you got for me? What can I get? But that's not where the happiness is. If you talk to anybody with money, they'll tell you money don't bring happiness. It doesn't. It just don't bring happiness. Because one thing I do know is, when you obtain something, you try to go and get something else. It only brings happiness for a moment. It's not true happiness. It's just like a quick high, or a quick happiness, a quick enjoyment. Because once you get used to it, you be like, okay, I want something else. So chasing that all the time, chasing money all the time, is not always the answer to everything. Sometimes you have to, we got people driven by money so much that they never live life. Their whole life is chasing money. chasing the bag, right? And they never live life. They never take time to stop and smell the roses. They never take time to stop and smell the roses in their journey. And life is in the journey. What you go through on a daily in your moments in life, that's what your life is all about. And if you get caught up so much into money, you'll miss out on life. You'll turn around and you'll look and you'll be old, up in age, and then you look back and you say, dang, when did I live? When did I take the time to enjoy the fruits of my labor? Like last week. And if y'all didn't see that episode last week, I advise you to go back and look at it. Just like last week when I said, and what was that? I can't remember. I lost my train of thought. You just miss out on life. You'll look up and life will beating past you by, and you'll look back and you'll say, I didn't even enjoy my life, and time will be gone, and you can't get that time back. You can't get that time back. You can't get that time back. You got to live your life, because one day you're here, the next day you're gone. So the time that you spend on this earth, try to enjoy it. Try to enjoy it. Don't let money consume you. Don't let all this propaganda and all this marketing and all these commercials make you feel like you're not in this social media. Let it make you feel like you less than who you are. You are who you are, and where you are is where you're supposed to be at that moment. If you don't like where you are at that moment, change your circumstances, because it's only you gonna be able to change it, because nobody's coming to change your circumstances but you. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to do any of that. So when you don't like your circumstances, change them. You got to do something different. You got to reinvent yourself. You got to start thinking about different things. Stay on what you've done up to this point has gotten you where you are. And if you're not satisfied with where you are at the time, then you have to do something different, because you already see where the things that you've already done have gotten you. Now, if you got your irons in the fire and you got some things brewing and some things happening, okay, you just got to be patient, and then it'll happen. As long as you stay dedicated and as long as you stay focused, you'll get there. But don't miss out on your blessing, which is life and time, by chasing money and chasing all the things that really don't matter, that don't really bring you happiness. Just make sure that in this lifetime that you get the money and you live within your means, but take time and smell the roses, right? So with that being said, I ain't gonna hold you, but I would like you to like, comment, and subscribe this video and share it. Share it. I would like you to also give me some comments, give me some feedback on what you think it is that you got from this episode, and maybe tell me something, because like I told you before, I always love to learn, and I love to know what other people have on their mind. And I look forward to having guests on this show so we can get a different perspective on different topics. And we're gonna get some guests on this show. We're gonna have some people come in and give their perspective on topics that we speak about. And speaking of that, but before I say this, I want you to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. And tell a friend to tell a friend, right? But the next episode, we're gonna turn the curve on this one. It's gonna be a little different this time. And hopefully I can get somebody in here a guest in here so we can have a different perspective and maybe give our opinions on this next topic. But you're gonna want to tune in to this one, because this one is gonna be a little different from what you've been seeing before. And like I told you before on the first episode, we're gonna be talking about a lot of things. So we're gonna turn the curve on this one, and we're gonna have some fun. And I just want to get you to think. Like I said, mind elevation. I just want you to think, use your mind, and we're going to bring some thought-provoking topics. Well, topics, but next week it's going to be some thought-provoking topics. It's going to just be really, I ain't going to give you too much. Just make sure you tune in to the next episode. And like I said before, continue to use your mind elevation, and we'll talk to you next time. Thank you for your time, and hopefully I'll see you again. Peace.